What's up, comic book fans? Pete here from Comic Books Transformed. I'm eating a Pokeball in my daughter's bedroom. How fucking weird is this? But we're talking about Doctor Who, so it could be fucking weird.
Yeah.
Mike, we just recorded another episode, so this is all a little awkward and forced, but welcome back.
I just wear the same shirt all the time.
There you go. There you
I
go.
just wear my gunslinger shirt.
There you go. And Mike is part of my quartet. I'm a big fan of him and his channel, Pop Culture Man Children. And Mike is a big fan of Doctor Who. And now we get to talk about, first time on this channel, a doctor transforming into a new doctor, right? Regenerating.
Yes, yeah.
Yes. So this episode features Neil Patrick Harris as the villain, the Toymaker. Did you ever watch A Series of Unfortunate Events on Netflix?
No, I never saw that version.
Okay. My daughter Pepper was a big fan of it, and Neil Patrick Harris essentially, like, every episode has to pretend to be a different character.
Yeah.
He's the same villain, but he's always put on a disguise. And so I felt like he was really showing his acting chops with that. With this being the Toymaker, he kind of goes from having a German accent to having a British accent. I don't think he has an American accent in the entire episode, right?
No. And the German accent is very silly. It's very over the top.
Yeah.
I like Neil Patrick Harris a lot. I love him in a lot of things. I love him in what's the one he did with Felicia Day? The Doctor.
Oh, Dr. Horrible? Sing-along blog?
Yeah. I like that. I liked him in How I Met Your Mother. I don't know if I like what they do with him in this episode, because he feels very funny and entertaining, but not at all menacing.
Yeah.
And I feel like he should have been a little bit more menacing. Agreed.
Yes. The Toymaker character I'm not familiar with. I think he's in the original Doctors series.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, do you know who played him in the original Doctors series?
Yes, I forget. I don't know his name, but the gentleman who played Alfred in the Tim Burton Batman movies.
Yeah, I always wonder how to pronounce his last name. It's like Michael Gow. Pennywise?
Isn't it Pennyworth?
Yeah, Alfred Pennyworth. But Michael Gow, right? Isn't that his last name?
I'm not sure.
Gough. He played the original Toymaker, and they show him at one point when the Doctor has a little flashback about him too. So Neil Patrick Harris, he's this Toymaker, and he is around in the cold open when the guy who apparently created the television, or a very archaic version of the television, he sends his assistant to get a toy to film. Yeah. And the reason why they need a toy is because the lights for the television are so intense that it would burn someone. And I think that is great, because you just asked in our previous episode, how do I feel about these being anniversary episodes? And I feel like Doctor Who, for being around for 60 years, is such a staple of British television.
True.
That it is a really smart point to make this problem be connected to television.
That's a great point. Yeah. I mean, it is the longest running science fiction series in television history.
Right. And so, like, literally the very first image that's on TV is used by the villain in this story.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
So I listen to this one podcast I love, The Weekly Planet, with Mr. Sunday and his friend Mason, and they talked about these three specials. One of the points they made was, I want to give them credit, is that they felt like the way that the Toymaker works, like his sort of modus operandi or whatever, it doesn't really match up with his plan to mess up humanity. It's like he wants to play games. He wants the Doctor to engage in a game. And then he does this plan where essentially humanity implodes on itself because everyone thinks they're right. Did you feel like there was like two conflicting ideas there, or do you think it works?
I think it doesn't totally work. I actually think that this one is the weakest of the three episodes.
Right.
Although I like it a lot.
Right.
But see, again, I love Russell T Davies. I love Russell T Davies' completely on the know political beliefs.
Yeah.
And I know some people hate that, but I love it. He was always the most sort of overtly political of, like, remember in the early, and I think it was not even David Tennant. I think it was the Ninth Doctor,
Christopher Eccleston.
Yeah, I think he had an episode where like they went to like this channel, and it was basically like it was all a Fox News joke or a Fox News comment, because it was this channel that was controlling all of information in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And this is it. He wanted to say something about Trump voters. He wanted to say something about modern political landscape. He wanted to say something about people that are anti-vaccine.
Right.
So it's super on the nose. But you know what? When you've got a show that's as silly and crazy as Doctor Who, I think being on the nose with your political beliefs is fine.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's get right to that one specific point. I mean, first of all, what the Toymaker does, that's a commentary on our current states, and it is like Trump voters and Twitter and all that kind of stuff.
Everybody, the world is pulling itself apart because he's brainwashed everybody into believing they are right.
Right.
And we see there's a scene where Kate Lethbridge Stewart, the person who runs UNIT, she demonstrates for the Doctor what it does to her, and she immediately becomes xenophobic. She immediately begins getting violent. She immediately starts believing conspiracy theories and going up to the Shirley, the one in the wheelchair, and going, "You don't need that wheelchair. I've seen you." So it's such a comment on now.
Right. And well, that's the thing, is that she says, "I've seen you walk," or something like that. I've seen her walking. And it was so funny because I would look at some of the comments on Twitter or on YouTube about these episodes, and one person was like, "Oh, I'm glad they're treating someone that's disabled on this show, but I could have sworn I saw her move her legs." And it's like, whoa, like life imitating art.
Right. And also, there's a million reasons why you might be in a chair.
Right.
And when she meets David Tennant in the first episode, she crosses her legs when she's talking to him.
Right.
Like, she can move her legs.
Right. Exactly. And so, like, it's just, it's this great commentary, but it's funny because there's almost like two major moments of commentary, right? Maybe even three. There's one that's like on television. Then there's one that is about like sort of like just the way the fucking world is with media and stuff right now. And then the Doctor just like stops everything and does this speech about how awful humans are.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that was like the most on the nose out of all of it. He's like, "By the way, you're stupid and callous," and he says all these things. Yeah.
To me, the most on the nose moment is they've got the people at UNIT have these devices that they wear on their arms that keep them from being brainwashed. And the Doctor, O'Donnell, says, "Why don't you just give these devices to everybody, and then this isn't a problem?" And then the Kate character goes, "Oh, we tried that." And then you see TV and you see some pundit going, "These things are meant to track us. I'm anti these things." And it's such a clear anti-vaxxer.
Anti-vax, right.
Like, how can you get people to do something that will save their lives?
Of
course not.
Right. It was kind of embarrassing because, I mean, we just went through COVID recently, and then just like seeing that, it's like, wow, that is how stupid we must look, in general. I like
wait for my vaccine. I went to my vaccine like I was like the way I was excited for Star Wars Episode 1. I was online I was just like Jar Jar Binks. So I was like, "Oh, I can't wait for this vaccine."
Oh, Misa no getting COVID now. Nice. Oh man,
Misa got the antibodies.
There you go. So I mean, like, Doctor Who, at least in the modern incarnation, has always done this, and I'm pretty sure that in the older version it would do this too. Maybe it would just be a little bit more subtle in the older versions of Doctor Who. But then let's talk about the Toymaker himself. So he lost a game with the Doctor in the original series, and then he wants to play a game with the Doctor again, and he's basically like set things up so that they're interacting again. When they first encounter each other, Neil Patrick Harris is just kind of dancing in the street, and he looks kind of like a mime. He's got a top hat on too. And I just really like that imagery. Like, what did you think of his whole look and the way that he acted?
I really liked when he switched into the English accent, because he seemed to be more less tongue-in-cheek. The whole German accent seemed like it was super jokey. Maybe it's what he was trying to do, or maybe that's the way it was written. But I didn't love that, like I said. But going back to what you were saying before, like I never saw the original story with the Toymaker, but it does seem like it was very small stakes.
Yes,
To me, it seems like the Toymaker is like Q from Next Gen, or even like Mr. Mitcha Spitlick from Superman.
Thank you.
This idea, like, it seems like they wanted to bring the Toymaker back, but they also had to have it be big stakes. So how do you make it so the Toymaker wants to destroy all of life? Like you said, it doesn't totally fit. Like
right. It would be like this thing where if the Doctor lost, then all of humanity would die or something. Right. But it's not. It's like, because there's this separate thing where there's this like satellite from South Korea that essentially puts everyone on the internet. And that was the thing that made everyone go crazy.
Yeah.
It was very similar to the Joker in the 1989 Batman movie, where it's like, he doesn't just give you like one thing that's a poison thing, like a poison makeup. It's like these different cosmetics that you mix together cause the poison, right? And so with the Toymaker, he made this Giggle that was just always looping in the back of TVs and stuff like that. So it finally kind of reaches this fever pitch once this satellite goes online, and they're able to blow the satellite up.
Yeah.
And I think that the satellite is essentially like Chekhov's gun, where it's like they had to figure out a way that they could like essentially kill the Doctor quickly.
Right.
Like, okay, well, we need a weapon, so we're going to use this weapon.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
It all goes very, very quickly. They try to get a lot done in the amount of time that they have. Mm-hmm. And some of it works better than other parts of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the big gun, which looks a little bit like the Prometheus alien gun from the first Alien movie, like the what do they call them before Prometheus?
Oh, you're talking about the engineers?
The engineers, yeah, it looks like the engineer kind of gun.
Mm-hmm.
And there's again, it's about TV, but then it seems like the metaphor shifts from TV to the internet because they're like screens. It's about screens, and it's like it's not totally working even thematically.
Right.
Like we began talking about TV, and then David Tennant says something about screens, and now we're talking about how screens are ruining our lives. But it's like TV didn't lead to where we are now. The internet did.
Right.
So it's sort of a mixed metaphor that doesn't quite congeal.
Right. They're like, oh, we got to get every single thing we have a commentary on in this episode.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Well, it is weird because, I mean, even the unit tower in it, like you said earlier, I think you might have even said this in our last episode, is like the Avengers Tower. It is like all kind of too much. And then they bring in this other character who I've never seen before in modern Doctor Who, but she was one of the companions. And the Doctor, is obviously very happy to see her. She was around for the 6th and 7th Doctors.
She actually came back in Jodie Whittaker's last episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I said last time that Jodie Whittaker's last episode itself was like, it had a bunch of the old Doctors.
Yeah.
It had David Bradley back as the first Doctor. And it had a bunch of old companions. So she's back here. And again, I've watched, I think I've watched none of like the 6th and 7th Doctor other than like a few clips.
Mm-hmm.
Or like I've seen the movie where the 7th Doctor dies in the beginning, gets shot up by like a gang in LA. It's very weird.
Right. Yeah. And what's his name? David Roberts. That's Julia Roberts' brother. He's the master, right?
Eric Roberts.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's the master. Right.
Yeah. The master's referenced in this episode.
Yes. So they're setting him up.
Yeah.
Or her up, whatever they're going to be now.
Right. Well, one of the things that I've loved about this, Mike, having these conversations with you, is it's actually made me go back and watch more Doctor Who. And I actually started to go through Peter Capaldi's run because you said that was your favorite.
It's underrated for sure. It's super underrated. I think he's a great Doctor. He's not the nicest guy. He's kind of a mean old jerk, which I like.
Yeah.
And some of his episodes are like very dark and interesting.
Yeah. And my YouTube feed is now just filled with Doctor Who things. And a lot of times, Heaven Sent, a lot of the times it says like, Stephen Moffat's masterpiece, Heaven Sent, or like
so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
So the Toymaker, I didn't want to like not mention the sequence, but they get this doll essentially to be the thing that gives the giggle to everyone in this anniversary special. And so the doll is just creepy to look at. And it like kind of gives all these doll themed horrors throughout the episode. The Doctor and Donna go back in time to find it, and they're going through this like endless labyrinth of doors.
Yeah.
At one point, the Doctor finds the guy who purchased the doll, and I thought that was like a really creepy sequence where he's like hanging up on the wall. Yeah. And then like he's covered in paper, and the Doctor unwraps him, and then he's got like this wooden body, like a marionette.
I mean, I couldn't help but think of a Nightmare on Elm Street 3, where he's got the kid on he's like, hey, I forget what, he makes some horrible joke about disabled people, probably. Like, and he like cuts it, and then he falls and dies.
Yeah. Oh, Dream Warriors.
It was like that. And the babies, the doll babies were super creepy.
Right.
Falling on Donna.
Yeah, all the stuff with that kind of puppet, it kind of even reminded me of Saw, like the first image you see on the TV screen looks like Billy the puppet.
And they talk in rhyme, which is always creepy.
Right. Yeah, really good point. So the Doctor gets to have his game with the Game Maker at the very end at the top of Avengers Tower, but the Game Maker says, well, the Doctor, I played against a different Doctor for the last 2 games, now I'm going to play against you, a new Doctor, and he shoots the Doctor with a laser.
Yes.
And you're pretty much okay, like, here we go, here comes the new Doctor. And then they go ahead and they do this thing where he says, pull. And then essentially you have like almost like a Siamese, oh wait, that's probably not appropriate, a conjoined twin Doctor at one point. And then we see the new Doctor, the 15th Doctor, showing up.
Yeah. Again, the old Englishman with the T. This is huge. It's a big canon change. And you know, I don't hate it. But I don't necessarily love it either. But I'm not the kind of nerd that's gonna like penalize it because of it. I mean, when a show's on for 60 years, you got to do something, right? You got to do something. But it is big, and some people really are very against it, and I can't fault them for it, because not only does it, I feel like it takes away from Ncuti Gatwa's spotlight. He should be the new Doctor. He's the first Black Doctor. He should be. It's his time to shine. And now we know that our so-called like favorite Doctor is out there,
right?
Probably, and he'll be. That means he could come back. You don't even need to come up with a reason to write him back in. He can just show back up.
Right.
He can do his own line of Big Finish, audio dramas.
Right.
Like he's got his own TARDIS. It feels like a cheat, and it also, I feel like, I liked when David Tennant was shot by Neil Patrick Harris, and famously when he, became Matt Smith, he said, "I don't want to go," because that character could not accept his death. But this time he goes, "Here we go again," and then he says "Allons-y," which is his catchphrase, which means "let's go" in French. So the fact that he didn't change, then I felt like, oh, that would have been such a good moment for David Tennant. I'd be like, his Doctor came back to finally deal with stuff, and now he's ready to move on.
Yeah. And so I completely agree. It seemed like it was all set up, and then just turn that off. And so I'm sorry, my daughter's showing me something. There you go. All right, close the door. And so it's set up. They know that we've been expecting this. They know we've been anticipating this. We're all aware the new Doctor's coming, and then it's like, oh, never mind. It's 2 Doctors now. And I completely agree with you with the idea of that it sort of takes away from this 15th Doctor. Yeah. And it's always kind of like, oh, we can have this side thing with the old Doctor that's like everyone's favorite, right?
Right.
And before, in the previous episode, I made this. It
almost makes you feel like some old guy at the BBC was like, all right, you can have your Black Doctor, but you got to keep a white one on the shelf in case we need them.
Exactly. I've had that exact thought a couple of times after watching this episode. It's funny because there's this one point they make with the 15th Doctor where the original Doctor, the 14th Doctor, is so worn down and he needs to essentially retire because he's kept going.
Yeah.
And then they ask, well, how come you are so energetic? You're this guy. And then he says that the doctor has already kind of done his resting.
Yeah, we're doing rehab in reverse.
Right. He does say that. And it's like, it's interesting because I think that
it makes no fucking sense.
Exactly. It's sort of implying like time travel in the regeneration itself, because it's saying that like it's not like this guy from the present time turns into this other guy now. It's like this guy is going to go do something else, and then I guess he's going to die, and then this guy's time is going to start or something.
But it's obvious, but clearly it's starting, right? Like when David Tennant dies now, does he regenerate or does he just die?
Okay, so if it was me, if I was writing this, I would make it that he just dies.
Right. That would me too, because to me that makes the most sense. Because otherwise, then if he does regenerate, now you just have two doctors forever.
Right, exactly.
Like this anomaly continues forever, and then like why not have like why not just go crazy, have a world of doctors like in Rick and Morty.
Right. Well, and so that goes back to this multiverse thing, which Rick and Morty I think kind of has pushed it more into the main culture, the consciousness. Because I was saying how like we don't really have a Doctor Who multiverse thing like in every other fucking major franchise right now. But this would essentially start that. I know that like there's always been the idea of like an evil Doctor being the Valriard. They've mentioned him.
Yeah.
And like, maybe you could kind of play with that a little bit, but I don't know.
Maybe. I mean,
excuse me.
You also have other David Tennants, right? There's the David Tennant that was that like grew from his hand that lives, I think, with
Rose.
With Rose, right?
Reality, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So there are multiple doctors. There are multiple. Yeah.
You could do like a fucking Spider-Man No Way Home with like 3 David Tennants.
Yeah, right. You wouldn't even need any of the other people.
Yeah. So what do you think about this new Doctor? So he's running around with no pants on. What do you think about him?
Well, I think it's funny that they split the clothes.
Yes, I love that.
Like he's wearing shoes, but Tennant's now barefoot. Yeah. I think he's awesome. I like his energy, and even though the whole rehab backwards makes no sense to me, I like that he's like, I'm a happy doctor. No more of this fucking dreary shit. Let's do something different. I'm going to be a doctor that's upbeat and loves himself. Yes. Like a lot of, like I know I've been being really hard on the regeneration. If I could say something positive, when he hugs David Tennant and like kisses him, it's such a perfect metaphor for like self-love and like being easy on yourself and like not hating yourself. Which I think, because I've seen a lot of people online like really connect with that. Like the Doctor hugging himself is like this wholesome sort of like complete wellness thing that we all need to like do for ourselves.
Yes, I know I could use that. I could use like a younger black gay version of myself hugging me and tell me it's going to be all right. Because I feel very worn down too.
Right.
No, and besides that, like, it's kind of like coded this way, but it's like a younger black actor kind of already seems like, oh God, this is going to sound so fucking racist, but like more hip than like an old British man. And it's like this younger kind of generation being like, hey, we got this. Your time is kind of up.
I agree. I mean, look, we see he's got a leather coat. He looks cool as hell. He's young. He's very young.
Exactly.
In the trailer for the Christmas special, it begins with him dancing in a club, wearing a dress, by the way.
Oh, okay.
So again, I think he's going to be a cool doctor, like a young, cool doctor.
Yeah, I've seen the clip of him where they're like watching these goblins go to eat a baby. Yes. And I'm like, fuck, I want to watch this. This looks great.
Yeah.
Yes. We're talking about these young, cool doctors, and then last week you gave me the challenge of who would I cast as my Doctor Who, and I'm kind of. I actually like the Peter Capaldi type doctor because it's like more like the old one where it's like an older man.
Yeah.
And so I have my choice. Do you want me to tell you my choice or you want to tell me your choice first?
I'd love to hear your choice.
Okay. So I actually pulled up a database of British actors because I couldn't like think of one off the top of my head. And I wanted an older man, a pretty old man actually, who had some vitality and could be gruff and stuff. I hope you don't laugh at my choice, but I came up with Jeremy Irons.
No, I think that's good.
Right, because he could be like silly and over the top. I mean, if you ever see his fucking Dungeons and Dragons movie, he's like ridiculous in that, you know? And he's got this gruff voice, you know. I don't know.
Gravitas too. I think I think he'd be like Capaldi in a way, I think.
Yes, yes. So now I'm actually super excited to hear about your choice.
All right. So mine, I don't know how practical it is because the person's probably way too old now to really do the job. But I was thinking Maggie Smith, who you know from Harry Potter. She's McGonagall. She's an old British actress. She's been in a million things. She's
the pride of Miss Jean Brodie.
She's in Downton Abbey. I think she'd be, and she has a great gravitas to her, and she's like truly like one of like the biggest stars in the UK ever, and an incredible actress. So I think she would be like, I'm thinking like maybe not the whole thing, but let's say you did like a Doctor Who movie and you had like a scene where like there was like just one doctor from the future, like just have her in one scene. I think that would be awesome.
Wow. I would in a million years would have never guessed you would have said Maggie Smith. That is interesting. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, it kind of harkens back to the Tom Baker Doctor, because he's a lot older when he runs into Matt Smith, and he's the
it would be like that. If I had to pick somebody younger, I would pick I don't know if you know this person, Miranda Hart.
Who's that?
She is a comedian. She's a UK comedian. She had she's been on a bunch of shows in UK. I'm trying to think. The only American thing she ever was in was the movie Spy with Melissa McCarthy. She's basically like a kind of very tall, gangly, but very funny, energetic comedian.
I think I remember her. I'm gonna have to look her up after this. I did see that movie. That movie has Jason Statham in it too, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I remember liking that movie more than I thought I was going to. I'll look her up. So say it again. Miranda Hart?
Miranda Hart.
Okay.
On my phone.
Oh, I know her. Yes. She would be a good doctor. Yes. Yeah. Okay. I remember her from that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That is a really good answer. That's a good one. I like that. Yeah, you know, if we're going Harry Potter people too, one British actress that I love, who's so good in fucking Killing Eve. It's the woman that plays Harry's aunt. Do you know who I'm talking about? That actress?
Oh yeah, from Andor.
Yes. She's so fucking good.
Oh, what's her name? Oh my god, she's also in the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yes, she is.
Something Shaw.
Yeah, Fiona Shaw or
Fiona Shaw. Yeah, I think it's Fiona Shaw. Yeah, she was very good.
You didn't see Killing Eve, right?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, Killing Eve. There's some greatness to it, and then there's some sort of like, why did they make this choice to it? But she is incredible in that show. If you're ever like, I don't know what the fuck to watch, just watch her a little bit in that. Yeah,
I think she's incredible in Andor.
Yeah,
I think she's incredible. Her whole speech where she's like, "Fight the Empire!" Like that's like one of the best moments in Star Wars ever. I think.
Yes, pick up a brick and hit somebody with it. Yes, yeah. So good.
Yeah, that show basically ends with the Stonewall riot of Star Wars.
Yeah. Oh my god, I can't wait till it comes back. That's some greatness. Honestly, I could almost have a whole episode with you just going over who could be the Doctor, because having this conversation, it's like there's so many people I didn't consider, and now I'm like, oh, what about this person and this person? You know,
Michael Gabon, who plays Dumbledore, I think would be great.
Right. Unfortunately, he's dead, right? But yeah.
Yes. He also played Ebenezer Scrooge in the Christmas special with Matt Smith.
Oh,
but that's right. The characters can come back and play different
people. Right, like you said that last time with Peter Capaldi, he was another character. Yeah. That would actually be kind of interesting, having the Doctor essentially play like Scrooge. You know, like it's this Scrooge becomes the Doctor. A little crossover. Yeah. So that's it for our Doctor Who anniversary special discussion. I've had a real fun time talking about this with you, Mike. And for me, the most important thing is it's made me want to watch more Doctor Who. So I thank you for that. Have you ever talked about Doctor Who on your show on Pop Culture Man Children?
Yes, I spoke about I can't remember exactly. I think I did. I covered Jodie Whittaker's first season.
Okay.
Yeah. Not too much really.
Yeah.
As of yet.
Okay. Well, if you ever want me to come over on there, maybe I'll watch some more Peter Capaldi. We can talk about that or something, or like
Absolutely.
a specific special. I'm
Or
down.
or we could do like a top 5 type of situation, top 5 stories. That could be fun.
Shit, yeah,
Yeah.
I'd be definitely down for that. Yeah, but it's always a pleasure having you on Comic Books Transformed.
Thank you.
And yeah, if you guys have not checked out Mike's show, it's Pop Culture Man Children, and it can be found on all podcast streaming channels. And then he also has a YouTube channel as well.
Everywhere. Everywhere.
Yes. All right, man. Well, thank you so much. And we will see you guys real soon.